We're going to start with about 2 feet, 60 centimeters of 2mm wire. And we're going to make 8mm jump rings. So I'm just using a cordless drill. And I just stick the wire in the chuck. Bend it 90 degrees. And just make sure that you keep the wire as close to its neighbor as you can while you're winding. And when you get to the end that you can feel, stop. You don't want that snapping through your fingers. And then I usually just put it on a piece of wood and finish it up. Now we're going to cut these. And because it's so big, it's easy to hold in your fingers. And a little bit of beeswax. And this is I think this is a 3/0 blade. So just one at a time until you get them all cut. Now that one, two, that made 20 jump rings. Now when you get to the last 2 or 3, it's difficult to hold. So I just put it back on the end of my mandrel, brace it against the end of the bench peg, and break the blade. Now we're just going to take our parallel jaw pliers and close these just like you would a regular ring shank. So I'm starting by closing 2, and then I'll feed them onto one that's open. Get these as close to perfect as possible, because it'll make your soldering that much easier. Then I close 2 more. Put them on one. And then I link those two together. You can do it any way you want, as long as you end up with them all closed and all together. So that's the beginning. Continue until it's all together, and then we'll start soldering. So that made a chain that is 150 millimeters long, or 6 inches in imperial. And after we solder the links, we're going to make them into an oval, which will make the chain longer. And then we're going to twist it, hammer it, and file it. Now we're just going to hold each link in a third hand, and we want the third hand to be as far away from the joint as possible so it doesn't suck the heat away from it. So we're going to mix up our flux, make sure it's nice and creamy. And I'm going to use 2 millimeter long pieces of 0.5 diameter hard solder. And this is a number 6 tip, Smith's little torch. And what I do is I heat this before I put the flux on it. So I just heat it up a little, flux it, and that way it ensures that the flux isn't dissipated by oil, because oftentimes in fresh wire they'll have a light oil coating. Now I use a tungsten solder pick, and I just heat it up red, keep it red, touch the solder and it'll jump onto the pick. Heat the join, and that's it. We move to the next one. Heat the join, flux it, pick up your solder, ta-da. And we'll continue to the end. Okay, Okay, all of the links are soldered. So what we're going to do now is use external snap ring pliers that when you squeeze them, they spread apart. And we're going to put the join at the end on the pliers. And we just give them a squeeze. And it turns the round link into an oval. One at a time. And if one of the links breaks, we just go back and resolder it. Now by stretching the links into an oval, the chain is now 195 millimeters long, or 8 inches in imperial. So now I'm just going to take 2 pairs of parallel jaw pliers. I'm going to grab the ends and twist these 90 degrees. And by using the parallel jaw pliers, it's easy to see when you have 90 degrees because the one pair of pliers will be 90 degrees to the other. So we're just going to go the full length, do these one at a time. And when you're done, the chain will look like this. So by twisting those, we went from an oval link chain to a curved chain, and this is now 185 millimeters long. So we lost 10 millimeters in length by twisting. Cut a piece of your 2 millimeter wire 55 millimeters long. File the end flat. And then take your flat round pliers, leave a little bit of the wire sticking through, bring it around until it touches, and then solder that. Solder where it touches. So I'm using a 2 millimeter long piece of hard solder. Neutral flame. Mix up your flux. Warm the piece. Flux it. Heat your solder pick. Pick up your solder. Circle with the flame. Bring the piece up to temperature. Place your solder. Look at the other side. Make sure the solder went through. If it didn't, heat the piece. until you can see the solder come through, then you're finished. Quench this. And you don't have to pickle it at this point, but after we finish the hook, then we'll pickle it. Dry the metal, and then I'm just using a bench block on my lap and the jeweler's hammer. Keep this end vertical. And then we file the end and then sand it, because it'll be rough. And your sanding stick with 400 grade wet or dry paper, sandpaper. Now we're going to hallmark this on the bottom side, because we're going to bring that up and over. Normally, you would put your hallmark on the inside, but because this is a clasp, we wouldn't be able to see it if it were on the inside like it would if it were a ring. Lovely. So now our flat round pliers. And we're just going to bring this over, put a little kick up on the end. And go ahead and bring it down so there's a small gap. Then we just take a round jump ring, open it, put our clasp on, close the jump ring, and solder it. Good morning. I realize that it's been a year since I've been on. I'll try to make more videos. I just wanted to let you know that I'm still on the planet and I'm doing well. Ciao.